I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at my website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is A Serious Adjustment. And that is something that all of us are going to have to make in one way or another sometime during the month of September. And there are a variety of reasons why you could be faced with making a serious adjustment sometime this month. One of the major reasons why is because there is a planet that is going to stay exactly in the sign it's in for the whole month. And it is Mars in Libra, which is at 6 degrees of Libra today, and it's going to still be in Libra by the end of the month going into October. And Mars is not happy in Libra because Libra is ruled by Venus, and so Libra rules partnership, and it rules compromise and diplomacy and being tactful. It rules art and beauty and decorating, and it rules the ability to make deals with people where both sides benefit in some way. That's why it rules compromise. It also rules the law and all legal contracts. And so Mars is not happy in Libra because Venus is such a laid-back sign and such a peaceful sign. And Mars is a go-getter, aggressive planet. And so there is the possibility of change coming up in partnerships or legal contracts or in relationships in one way or another. And you may have to make some sort of serious adjustment regarding that because Mars is in Libra all month. And remember, it rules law. It would indicate lawsuits or pending lawsuits. And so you'd want to try to avoid those too. Another reason why you could be having to make a serious adjustment of some sort is because there are 6 retrograde planets. And with 60% of all the planets going backward, it simply means you may have to go back and reconsider something and think it over a little bit more, or you could be having to make some sort of adjustment based on new information that comes out, or based on things that you had been curious about or suspicious of, but hadn't actually received any proof about it until now. And retrograde planets go back over ground they've already covered, and they pick up more information. So that is certainly possible. And then there are 5 planets in the mutable signs, and they have been there for a while. Not all in the same positions, though. There's something new this week. So we have the Sun and Mercury in Virgo, and Mercury is retrograde, and it is the ruler of the sign, and both planets are at the 14th degree. So the Sun and Mercury are at the same degree today, 14 degrees. And when we reduce numbers, we add digits. So 1 plus 4 equals 5. But this is a difficult number right now. And the reason that it's difficult is because it's not like a 5. 5 is a scattering number. It means you have to do more than one thing. But a 23-5 is an example of a number that is going from an uneven number 23 to another uneven number 5. That is compatible. But a 14-5, which is where the Sun and Mercury are today, is going from an even number to an uneven number. And that is very difficult. And that is why a 23-5 can indicate scattering your forces, but a 14-5 takes it a step further. And what we call a 14-5, we call it the number of separation. Because it's so hard to go from the way even-numbered people think and odd-numbered people think. The numbers are derived from the numerical value of the vowels and consonants in the full name of a person. And there's different kinds of numbers that you can get out of that. But today we are facing some sort of separation, and that may require a serious adjustment too. The most obvious separation could be a separation of loved ones. Maybe say a child is going off to college, and the parents are at home, and the child is thinking, freedom, and they're going off to school. Or it can simply be that people who love each other have explicit duties that they have to perform, such as people in the military. And so, for instance, what if a military family had to move? Okay, and yet the soldier has to be somewhere else, and it's up to the family to get all that together. That is a difficult separation, because each wants to be with the other, and each has separate jobs to do, and they're hard jobs. And so that's just an example of what a 14:5 separating aspect indicates, or number indicates. Well, so you have to keep that in mind, because that's where the Sun and Mercury are today, and they are opposing Saturn, which is retrograde in Pisces at 4 degrees, and Neptune, which is retrograde in Pisces at 27 degrees. 27 is a number that reduces to 9, a finishing number. And so we have these 4 planets opposing each other, which they've been doing for the last month, indicating people with irreconcilable differences. They're really not seeing eye to eye. But there's a 5th planet now in a mutable sign, which is further complicating this situation. And it is that the moon has now gone into Gemini. And so it's in Gemini today. It is trining that Mars in Libra. And so it has some support. But the moon in Gemini is squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And it's also squaring the Sun and Mercury in Virgo. When the Sun and the moon square or oppose each other, it leads to indecision or confusion. And so we're looking at that. That's a complication that could perhaps prompt you to make some sort of serious adjustment. So that's just another thing going on. And then there can be a question of what's going on with money and property, and particularly expensive property and big money. And that is because there are 3 planets in the fixed signs today, and they're all squaring each other. That's a harsh aspect. So Venus in Leo is squaring Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. Venus is now direct, but Jupiter and Uranus aren't. They're retrograde, and that's a fixed financial sign ruling your investments and high-priced property. And so these planets are all being squared by Venus and Leo rules gambling. And so there could be sort of a high-stakes gamble going on about money and property right now. And that is not too well aspected either, because the square is a harsh challenge. And that could be a reason why you would have to make some sort of a serious adjustment now. And also, since Uranus rules volatility, the value of your investments can be going up and down, and that could influence a final outcome as well. However, all is not lost, and that is because there is still a grand trine in the Earth signs of 5 planets. And so that same Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus are trining the Sun and Mercury in Virgo today, and together those 4 planets are also trining Pluto in Capricorn. However, once again, the reason for having to make a serious adjustment, I think sometime this month, is that 4 of the 5 planets that are in a grand trine in Earth signs are all retrograde. So they're going back over ground they've covered before and picking up more information, and this may cause a change in somebody's attitude or in the costs of something, attitude about money or the costs of something. Because Capricorn rules your career, your public reputation, and your retirement funds, and Taurus rules your investments and the money you make at your job, and Virgo rules your job and your health. And since 4 of the 5 planets that are trining each other are retrograde, you're going to have to go back and rethink something. And that could cause you to make a serious adjustment. So what are we looking at? we're looking at situations that are beyond our control. Not all of them, but the big ones are beyond our control, such as high debt, high inflation, high interest rates. And that can be forcing all of us to economize because we have to. And so that simply means that people can be faced with having to make some serious adjustments because rich or poor, if the prices are as high as they are right now, along with all those other factors, who can afford them all? So we have to economize in one way or another. And there is the possibility that we should more carefully look at what the planets are indicating about financial matters, about how we handle our finances. So I think it's going to be a little tricky this month. And so the first thing that there's two possibilities. The first possibility is determined by the fact that there are the rulers of one of the financial signs, Scorpio, that are in very harsh aspect to each other, and that's not changing for the whole month. And so Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, one of them, and it is in Libra. And remember I said it's putting pressure and tension on relationships and on partnerships and on legal contracts, things like that. And that Mars in Libra all month and heading into October, October, is squaring Pluto in Capricorn, which is the other ruler of Scorpio. Okay, well, Mars is a fairly fast-moving planet, but Pluto isn't. And so these planets are going to stay squaring and challenging each other all month. And so that's going to have an effect on the things that Scorpio rules, because they're the rulers of Scorpio. And so it rules taxes and loans and credit and debt. And it rules insurance payments, but also insurance proceeds. So the insurance industry is in a little bit of trouble this month. And all kinds of questions about debt and loans and payment schedules are open to change or open to a serious adjustment under these squares. And Scorpio also rules grants. And it might just be under economic conditions that are beyond our control, where everything is high priced, that there's just not going to be enough money around to do everything that we have been used to doing. And so you'd have to make a serious adjustment because of that, and because these aspects aren't changing the whole month. The second aspect that we have to be aware of is that the planets that are in the Earth signs, which are in a grand trine right now, have been there for a while, well over a month. And there didn't used to be so many retrograde planets in the Earth signs, but now there are. And in fact, of the 5 planets, the only planet that is direct in an Earth sign is the Sun in Virgo. Okay, well, so it's going to keep moving. It'll go into Libra. It'll just keep going on its path. But Mercury in Virgo is retrograde, Pluto in Capricorn is retrograde, and Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus are retrograde. And so if Capricorn rules your career and your reputation and big business, large corporations, government agencies and institutions, and even the heads of whole countries, because Pluto is there, and that Pluto is retrograde, it means that corporations and whole governments or institutions can be having to retrench. Now it might be because Taurus rules investments, and that means that if the value of investments falls, so does the income from all of them. And so not enough money to go around. So there'd have to be, these large entities are going to have to retrench. That means we'll all have to endure cutbacks or layoffs. Doesn't mean everybody's facing a cutoff, or everybody's having a layoff, but I would say generally that is going to grow. And then Virgo rules your job, and it also rules your health and your health care. And so there's going to be some retrenchment going on in the healthcare field, and in business and in government, and in investments. And that is going to force these large entities to retrench, have layoffs and cutbacks, and that will cause all of us to have to make a serious adjustment one way or the other. It'll affect all of us. And so we are facing the fact that we will have to make some serious adjustments, and I don't think anybody's going to like it, but there's no other way to do it, simply because we don't control everything in the world, and we have to try to get along with other people, but there are going to be cutbacks, and we're going to have to economize, and partnerships could end now. And the reason why partnerships could end, we go back to what's happening with Scorpio's rulers. Mars is in Libra, and Libra rules partnerships, but Mars is getting hit by a harsh square from Pluto in Capricorn. And so there can be partnerships that now end. And it could be for lack of funding or lack of financing. But, you know, Mars is in Libra, that rules partnerships, and it rules legal contracts. And it can mean that they're coming to an end because there's just not enough money to go around anymore. And so we'll have to make a serious adjustment. Okay, sorry for the bad news first. But what does that mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries, what that means for you is that I hope you haven't been gambling, Aries. And the reason why is that Venus is now direct in Leo. It's at 12 degrees. And it is trining your sun, Aries, where you have the lucky north node of the moon. This is definitely a time when you need to make a new beginning, Aries. And the reason why is that Mars in Libra is opposing your sun sign. And it's under duress. And besides, it creates pressure and tension in partnerships and in relationships, some of which are due to end for lack of financing or funding. And so, Aries, if ever you needed to make a new beginning, it is now. And you know you are in a unique position to succeed at that. Not by taking a gamble, but by perhaps attracting people that admire you for your ability to start new things. And maybe they're looking for something better because they have to make serious adjustments too. But it's very lucky that Venus is trining your sun, Aries. You should take advantage of that. This could result in something that is a good partnership or a better one than you had been thinking about. Or it just can be that since Leo also rules being an entrepreneur, that you could start something with somebody else and it somewhat aspected for success. So you might just try that. So this is a very good time to start something new, Aries, and boy, it's not a moment too soon. You really do need to do it, so I hope you do. What does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, Taurus, with both Jupiter and Uranus retrograde in your sign and being squared by Venus and Leo, that you have to be very careful about anything that has to do with big money or investments or expensive property. And the reason why you have to be very careful about that is that if you had taken a gamble, or anybody else wants to take a gamble on anything like that, this is not a very good time to do that. And if you have taken the gamble, there is the possibility that you may have to be looking at a lower return on something than you had been anticipating on. In other words, if you'd been thinking, oh, well, you know, I can get this much money out of something. Yes, but if the value of it falls, the income may not be there. And or it can be that companies may have to retrench, or the price of something, particularly of real estate, could fall, believe it or not. I mean, that hasn't been the way it's been for a few years, but things are changing. And so if corporations and whole governments have to retrench, it's going to affect everybody. And it's in the pocketbook that it's going to affect everybody. So Taurus, even though there are still 5 planets trining each other in the earth signs, 2 of them, the Sun and Mercury in Virgo, which are retrograde. Well, first of all, 4 of them are retrograde. So you got to go back and rethink something, Taurus, because I would say that no matter how good a worker you are, and Taurus is a hard worker, I don't think the money's all there that you had been anticipating. And it might be due to circumstances beyond your control. In other words, somebody else doesn't have the money, so you can't have it either. I mean, it could be the way things are going right now. But also the Sun and Mercury in Virgo do trine your Sun, but they're both at the 14th degree, which is a degree of separation. And so there is the possibility somewhere in your life that you're facing some sort of a separation. It could be on the job. That's because Virgo rules jobs. But it also could be something that has to do with your health or the whole healthcare field. And you would want to, and it also could have something to do with someone who could have irreconcilable differences, either with you or somebody else. And those things would be coming to a head. And so that would create more indecision and confusion in relationships and even the ending of a partnership. And so if that happens, there just wouldn't be enough money around, Taurus. So what I'm saying is, don't spend any money right now. Just, or it could be that taxes are way too high. You know, Scorpio rules taxes, and Mars and Pluto are squaring each other. And Taurus likes good money. But it might be higher taxes too, and that could cause you to make a sudden adjustment or a serious adjustment. Maybe you would have to change the way you're doing your financial planning. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, the moon is in your sign today, and it's being backed up. It's being trined by that Mars in Libra. This does offer you a small hope, Gemini, that you might win a legal argument right now. Or if it isn't an argument, it's a standoff about something, and you might win it. And the reason why is that you may be able, since you are such a good communicator, Gemini, you may be able to explain something in a very simple and concise way that nobody can argue with. Because it's like giving somebody the whole answer, but not in a big, long, drawn-out way. Just, okay, here's the answer. And you know, you might win something that way because Mars is trining the moon in your sign. Mars is in Libra, which does rule the law. And so, if I were you, Gemini, I would speak up about something. If you are in any kind of a controversy right now, I think that you should rely more on your good communication skills. And in fact, highlight them now. And really get out there and use them. The full moon is a lot of light. You may as well go out and talk to people or explain things or something where you're a little bit more out in the public eye, because your sign rules the public. And I think you're going to be, Geminis have a wonderful gift for saying things that are sort of short and sweet and right to the point. And so I have a feeling that that could work out quite well for you right now, Gemini. And along with that, if you're having to make any kind of serious adjustment, I hope you decide to really stay out of any kind of fray or pressure in a relationship that has to do with people who have irreconcilable differences. Because the Sun and Mercury, your own ruler, are still in Virgo, squaring the moon in your sign, leading to indecision and confusion. Well, who needs that? So avoid people with strident opinions right now. And then Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are also squaring the moon in your sign. Which means that there could be something behind the scenes that have been going on for quite a long time. And there is the possibility, once again, I'm urging you to stay away from people with irreconcilable differences, because they're just arguing, and that's all they know how to do. They don't know how to do anything else but argue. So avoid them, because they're not offering anything that people want. They're just sparring with each other. And you know, sooner or later, that could get real old. And you know, no matter how long they want to have their irreconcilable differences, the people around them could get pretty sick of that. And so don't be around those people, Gemini. But instead, you could still keep your eyes and ears open and learn about a well-kept secret behind the scenes that may be coming out now. So, you know, be discreet at the same time. Libra rules discretion. And Mars is there, though. People could, you know, you need to be real careful in your relationships now. But you actually could win some sort of legal argument if you just said something short and sweet and right to the point that nobody can argue with. And have some proof of it. You'll win. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. Well, Cancer, yours is a cardinal sign. And so you are looking at some sort of financial adjustment, a serious adjustment in a financial matter. Now, it could be due to high costs or high prices. Maybe you're going to have to economize on something now. And the reason why is that Mars is in Libra, squaring your Sun, and Pluto is in Capricorn, opposing your Sun. And Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio, which rules credit, debt, taxes, loans, insurance, grants, your money coming in from any other source. And so oddly enough, Cancer, I mean, at the very least, you could be looking at higher taxes. Or you could just be looking at whatever you're doing as being so expensive that you've got to economize somehow. So you need to readjust your money or your funding. And if there isn't enough money around to go around, you may have to sell something. And so Cancer, you need to be real careful with the way you're handling your money right now. Because there may be an ending to a partnership. See, that Mars is in Libra, which rules partnerships, and it's squaring your Sun. So there could be an ending to a partnership, and that may or may not bother you, but it could be also involving some retrenchment in an organization that you're connected with, because Pluto in Capricorn is opposing your Sun, and Mars and Pluto are squaring each other, indicating that large entities, you know, big corporations, government agencies, and institutions are just going to have to retrench. And that will result in cutbacks and layoffs. And that could affect you one way or another, Cancer. Now, you still have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces trining your Sun. Somewhere in the background of your life, Cancer, you've got some backup, some really good backup, plus a wonderful dream that you should be working on right now to have come true. Because that is a way that even if you had to make a serious adjustment right now, Cancer, as long as you could have that precious dream of yours coming true, it would be a lifesaver. Because it would enable you to go forward and sort of get away from tense situations. And that would be not only good for you and make you happier, but it could be life-saving. Could be much better for your health. Because when people are facing stress and tension, it hurts their health. And you need to get away from that if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, there can be some sort of high-stakes gamble now that you might have participated in that has to do with big money or expensive property. And that is because Venus is in your sign. I'm sure you can be feeling good and wanting to look good, and you could be sort of wanting to party, because Leos love to do that. So that's fine, because Venus is direct now. So, I mean, you could be making up for lost time. However, Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus are squaring it. And Taurus is a fixed sign. And those are two very good planets, but they're not getting along with that Venus at all. And that's why you can be subject to some sort of high stakes gamble that has to do with big money or with valuable property. And I would say that whatever large return or reward or however you thought the money was going to be coming in, Leo, it isn't. It doesn't mean there won't be anything there. It means that there sure won't be what you thought. It won't be what you thought. And the reason why is it's sort of, as I said, we're all going to have to make serious adjustments because of things that are beyond our control. And it is simply that if the value of investments falls and Uranus rules sudden change and volatility, and it's in the sign of Taurus, which rules these things I'm talking about, investments and high-priced property, if the value falls or the costs go up on them. See, either way, what if you said, oh, I'm going to get this money back? Yes, but what if there's higher taxes on that money? Well, that's a loss. What if there's higher costs to a piece of property? Or there higher maintenance on it? That's a cost. Do you see? You're thinking that the money can come in, and what I'm saying is not so much, or it's going to go out just as quick as it came in. And so at the end of the day, you may have to make a serious adjustment. And I would say that something is going to cost you more. And let's hope that you're able to sell something or generate extra income to cover higher costs right now. Because all of us, in one way or another, are going to have to do that. But you might have been gambling that, you were going to be able to put your hands on a lot of money. But higher costs would eat into that enough, or so would higher taxes, that there may not be as much there as you thought there would be, Leo. And so we all will have to make serious adjustments, including you. There are no other planets in the other fire signs. You're on your own. You do have this wonderful planet in your sign. So keep a smile on your face, Leo. But I would lower my sights as far as money goes right now. Something's going to cost more than you think in one way or another. But that's the same boat all of us are in right now, and for the whole month of September. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo, today the Sun and Mercury, your own ruler, are at 14 degrees, and it reduces to 5, and a 14.5 is the number of separation. So Virgo, you're looking at a separation somewhere in your life. Now, it might be that the company that you work for has to retrench, and so there can be cutbacks or layoffs. Well, that happens. If people run out of money or the costs are way too high, then they just have to cut down and economize. And that's for companies and governments, just the way it is for you and me. And so, Virgo, there is the possibility that you will be separated from a loved one. And it can be that it's painful. It can be painful for either because it would give you more work to do that you had been sort of counting on help with, but you have to sort of go ahead and do it on your own. Or it can be if you have been in any disagreement with someone else that has irreconcilable differences. That could be a reason why you're alone, because they decide that, gee, this isn't worth it, and they're leaving. And you may not feel too badly about that, but that would still be a separating aspect. It would also end any controversy that might have affected you adversely. In other words, affected your health or really worried you. Virgos worry a lot. And you would have, in the whole last month, you would have been in a situation where something was going wrong. And it really bothered you. But in a way, you were safe because there is a grand trine at the same time in the earth signs. But that did not take away the worry or the stress or the anguish that you also had to deal with. And that's still around. But this Sun and Mercury, you're going to find a way to solve your problems, Virgo. And I would say the sooner you find it that way, the better. Because you do need to get away from people who are either extremely selfish and they're never going to change, or people who are greedy. Maybe they want what you've got. Okay, well, you can live without people like that too. And so right now you might be able to make some sort of serious adjustment where you figure you're better off by yourself. And you could be right about that. And also, if your company retrenches, that could affect you. It may not be an adverse effect, but it may still involve some sort of cutbacks or layoffs or cutting down of hours or something like that. But you still would enjoy the Grand Trine as long as it holds. It's just that there are no planets that are direct except the Sun, but luckily it's in your sign. So go forward with what you think is best. And, you know, if you've been in a controversy with somebody, I would ditch them. I would get out of that, Virgo. That's no good for you. And it's really affecting your health. So, I mean, you got to take care of yourself. And this is a good time to do it. And if that indicates a separation, it might be for the best, Virgo. You never know. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, Mars is in your sign today. Whew. And you know, it is being trined and supported by that moon in Gemini, which is good. It means that there's a sympathetic friend around somewhere, Libra. It might be a woman, or it might simply be younger people that are more willing to sort of be on your side and help you out a little bit. And so that would be nice. Or it could be that you are able to economize and maybe even stretch your budget by getting an additional part-time job, because Gemini rules part-time jobs. And you know, I would consider that, Libra. You have Mars in your sign. It's not happy there, but it's a planet of energy. And maybe this is just a time when you should get in and work a little harder. And you may have the opportunity to take on some temporary or part-time effort right now that would pay and get you out in the public eye a little bit more. And I think the timing would be good for that, Libra. You should think about that. Because the other side of the coin is that Pluto in Capricorn is squaring that Mars in your sign. And that simply means that there is going to be a problem with money and maybe the end of a partnership due to lack of financing or lack of funding. But there could be a real break or end in a partnership. And that would be a legal end. But it might be long overdue. And so you may be able to go into something that is more temporary or part-time and not so heavy duty. And that may be good for you, Libra. You know, we don't have to have all of our lives mapped out until the day we die. We could sort of go with the flow here and, you know, try on different things. With the moon in Gemini trining your sun, you can do that. If you don't like something, you can drop it. But you'll never know if it's going to work until you try it. So, this is a very good time to get out there a little bit more and try things. So I wish you the best of luck. And keep your hands in your pocket. Don't spend a lot of money right now. You may need it in the future. Okay, what does it mean to Scorpio? Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, the good news is that Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are still trining your sun. They're retrograde. That means that you just got to go back and try to make a precious dream come true, and you got to try even harder. And the reason why is that some truth has to be faced. And it may be that Pisces rules the 12th house of hidden doubts and fears. It may be that you've been having some hidden doubts and fears, even about a precious dream that is destined for success. You could still be thinking to yourself, oh, I don't know if that's going to work, or I'm a little hesitant here, and because those planets are retrograde. But you couldn't get two better planets trining your sun right now, Scorpio, than the two that are in Pisces. First of all, Neptune rules the sign. It's the only time in your life that it will be trining your sun for many, many years. Now, it will go into Cancer way off in the distant future. It's a real slow mover. So I don't know if you'll be around when it finally gets to Cancer, and that would be another trine. But it still wouldn't be in the sign it rules. It's very strong in Pisces. And so this is when you need to get over your doubts and fears, Scorpio, and go for that precious dream. And it will just help you into your future. It will probably dispel any doubts and fears that you have. It'll be the best thing that ever happened to you, Scorpio. So you got to keep going in that direction. And another reason why you should, is because your rulers are in trouble this month. And that means that if you're doing anything with money, it's just going to go out, but not necessarily come in. And because Mars in Libra, which is right behind your sun sign, so there is legal trouble or partnership issues that could end up as a legal problem in the background of your life. That's happening. And so, you got to try to diffuse that or compromise a little bit if you can to get past that. And so Mars is in Libra, and it's one of your rulers, and Pluto is in Capricorn, the other ruler. Well, Pluto has been sextiling your sun for decades, and it's still doing that. So that one is in good aspect to your sun, but it is in harsh aspect to Mars, your ruler. And so that is an indication that either something's going to cost a lot more, like taxes, or else settling a legal issue is going to be costly. But you could say it's a one-time settlement. You could be done with that, and that might be a good thing, Scorpio, to get that off the books and get it resolved. And then there's also the possibility that there can be a creditor problem or a loan problem or a debt problem, because those are the things that Scorpio rules. And so this would be a very good time, since yours is a fixed financial sign, for you to be what they call liquid. What that means is rely more on cash, not on credit, and don't go into debt. And just wait it out. Wait out a time when we're all going to have to be making a serious adjustment. And if you have some things that you need to pay off and resolve, do it. Because whatever cash you have left, that's right where you should be. You should be in a liquid position where you got more cash than, that may not be how you want to live with a lot of cash. Maybe you'd like to get that cash to be working for you, but this may be a better time simply to hold on to what you've got. After you settle differences, or after you pay the taxes, or after you settle the loans, or whatever. Just hold on. And so I hope you do that, Scorpio, because the most important thing, believe it or not, in your whole life is not the money. It's the dream. Because Neptune trining your sun, and the Saturn there as well, meaning it's an old dream, it's possible that it could help you go into your future. Well, I think it's not just possible, it will. It will take you into your future and away from any troubles you're facing now. That's why you should go for it. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, Venus in Leo is trining your sun, which is good for you. And the lucky north node of the moon in Aries is also trining your sun. So that's great. That can give you an opportunity to have a lot more fun right now. Maybe you're going to take a trip, Sagittarius, because your sign rules travel. Or maybe you are just going to be able to take a course or be involved in higher education in one way or another. That would be great. Um, that's something that Sagittarians love to learn. And so they just like to learn all kinds of things. And you could even be involved in something that involves children, but it would be in a learning atmosphere or in a learning capacity. And it might be that you're the teacher, your sign rules teaching in higher education. But maybe if you are already well educated in something, maybe you could share your knowledge with children, because Leo rules children and Venus is there and trining your sun. That would be nice too. However, this is a time when your sign is the only mutable sign that is not, doesn't have a planet in it. So it is receiving all the frustration of 5 other planets in mutable signs, and they're dumping all their anguish into your sign. And that is because the Sun and Mercury today in Virgo are squaring your Sun, and they're at 14 degrees, indicating there is the possibility of a separation coming up of one sort or another. And then, because 14.5 is a separating number, and then Neptune and Saturn in Pisces are squaring your Sun, which means as more truth comes out from behind the scenes, it could be somewhat challenging for you to face. And then the Moon in Gemini is opposing your Sun today. And so it could involve a move. There could be something that has to do with a move, Sagittarius, and that's because the Moon rules real estate, and Gemini rules rentals. And, the Moon is there, but opposing your Sun. So you may have to move. Or it might be that the rent gets raised, and gee, that doesn't fit in your budget. And so you, like everybody else, will have to economize. And that is what I think the majority of us will be doing as we make a serious adjustment. It will be an economic adjustment of one kind or another, I think. So you have that to look forward to as well. And so you might want to take on a part-time job, just being a teaching assistant or helping out in the classroom somehow. And that could bring in more money, particularly if your rent does go up, or your mortgage goes up, or your taxes go up in some way. So think about that, Sagittarius, because you'd be very fortunate around younger people right now. So I hope you give that a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. This is a time, Capricorn, when you definitely benefit from the fact that there are still 5 planets in the earth signs. They are still trining each other. 4 of them are retrograde, though, going back and reviewing things. And one of them is a planet in your sign, Pluto. And since Pluto is retrograde and it's one of Scorpio's rulers, it is now squaring Mars in Libra. And Mars in Libra is squaring your sign. And so there can be some tension in a partnership, or some uncertainty, or there can be an end even to a partnership in one way or another. And that could be due to circumstances beyond our control, meaning it can be that governments or big corporations or government agencies or institutions simply have to retrench. And so they have to have cutbacks and layoffs, because there isn't going to be enough funding for everything anymore. That's why the serious adjustment has to take place. And that's certainly for this upcoming month in September, while Mars and Pluto, the rulers of Scorpio, are squaring each other the whole month. And so Capricorn, there could be some sort of retrenching somewhere in your life, some sort of like cutting back, or downsizing a little bit, or just, economizing. Now Capricorns are very good at that, and antiques are ruled by Capricorn. The Capricorns are very good at seeing something that is at a low price in a thrift shop and realizing what the real value is of it. And so they're able to buy things at a low price that are actually worth a lot more. And so Capricorn, you have very good taste. And if you have champagne taste, but you're living on a beer budget, you would still look like you had champagne taste. You'd just do fine. And so you'll have to be a little bit more careful in September about how you spend your money, though, because the prices are too high everywhere. You know, it would be hard to find a bargain in the month of September because the costs are too high, the prices are too high, the debt is too high, the interest rates are too high. We're all going to have to economize in one way or another, even you, Capricorn. So give it your best shot, because I think you'll succeed. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Aquarius. Well, Aquarius, there are two planets that are both trining your sun. Lucky you, you have a lot of support now. Oh, surprise, you haven't had that in a while. And that is because the moon today in Gemini is trining your sun, and Mars in Libra is trining your sun as well. It's lucky that it's trining your sun, Aquarius, because if you have any legal issues that are pending or partnership issues that have been sort of tense, you may be able to work them out satisfactorily. In fact, it looks like you could do that. And that might surprise you because yours is a fixed sign. And fixed signs generally don't budge. But you may have been thinking something over for quite a long time that involved a partnership issue or a legal issue, and you may simply be deciding, look, I'm gonna settle this. It's not worth prolonging it at all. And I think that is sort of like a green light to get a settlement now, and it might even be a little bit better than you think. Mars is trining your sun. It can be that whoever you are in some sort of tense relationship with or in some sort of legal hassle with, it may be that they're tired of it too. And they just want it to end. So finally something gets resolved. This would do you a world of good, Aquarius. It would just free you up to maybe do something part-time. The moon is in Gemini. Or maybe you could move somewhere else in your neighborhood and be happier. Or something like that. Or take a short trip. That would be great for you too. So I think things are looking up a little bit for you, Aquarius. However, Venus in Leo is still opposing your sun, which means somebody wants to go their own way. You're going to have to let them do that. In fact, I wouldn't even try to stop them. They're just going to do it. And also, Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus are squaring your sun, which means you too, even if you settle a lawsuit, you will have to watch your money. Or if you are the beneficiary of some settlement, there may be higher taxes on it. And so you have to pay those. But no matter what, Aquarius, I think you're going to come out of something much better than when you went into it. And I think you'll be fine. Just realize the world is opening up a little bit right now, and it's things are a little bit more, the terms of something are more favorable for you now. So if I were you, I would go ahead and settle something. Because first of all, something is better than nothing. And as long as people fight, there's nothing to be won. It's only when you end the fight that people win. So think about that, Aquarius, because I think you're going to come out of something better than you realize. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, since yours is a mutable sign, when there can be just a lot of different things going on, and it seems as if they're stacking up right now. And that is because the Sun and Mercury in Virgo at 14 degrees, which reduces to 5, it's a number of separation, and that involves the Sun and Mercury. Mercury's the ruler of the sign. So even though it's retrograde, there's some very strong matter concerning the things that Virgo rules, such as your health, or a banking matter, or some sort of accounting matter that is sort of coming your way, and you've got to be real careful with it, Pisces, because Saturn, which is a very strong planet, In other words, it's a planet of stability. And Neptune, your own ruler, are in your sign, but they're both retrograde. And so you could have been having irreconcilable differences with somebody. And you know, it's further complicated right now by the fact that the moon in Gemini is also squaring Saturn and Neptune in your sign. And they're also squaring the Sun and Mercury. So that can lead to indecision or confusion around you, Pisces. And you're going to have to sort of sit it out for a little while. And you too will still have to make a serious adjustment, and I think it's sometime this month. And it could involve a separating aspect. So if you've been having irreconcilable differences with somebody, I think it's going to come to an end. Because it's got to. And so I think, Pisces, that you might be better off for that. Because Pisces have a gentle nature. They don't have an argumentative, aggressive, wanting to beat somebody up kind of attitude. That's not a Pisces. And if you've been having to deal with somebody who's aggressive and forceful and greedy, you could be sick of that by now. And so maybe you could move. Or maybe you could work a little harder on making a dream come true. And that would help get you out of the quandary you have been in. All we have to do to get somewhere on the road of life is take the next step. That's all anybody has to do. It's just, instead of this, go in a new direction. And all you have to do is take one step. And then you're on a new road. And maybe a new life. And maybe a lot more happiness. It would be a little bit, Pisces, as if you haven't been quite feeling like you were home yet. Even if you were in your own home, you may have felt for one reason or another that you weren't really home yet. And all you need to do is take one step in that direction. Make a dream come true. Besides, you can only take one step at a time. But you got to take that first one, Pisces. You can do it. It's a step on the road to your happiness. That's the direction you need to go in. Leave these people that have been causing you a lot of problems behind. And go for that road of happiness that involves your dream. Because that's a road that's going to take you higher and higher and higher. And you won't be alone. That's the nice part about it. You may have been feeling sort of alone lately. But you won't be alone anymore. Not if you take even one step toward your dream. It'll just help you take the next step and the next. So good luck. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and if you subscribe there and tell your friends about it, I'd be happy to send you the show on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. And you can read the blog, which further explains the theme of each show, on my website, starborninstitute.org. And until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.